What is up, guys? This is John, aka Pokemon, coach of the New Orleans Pelippers, bringing you guys my Week 10 match of the 6th season of the GBA against Lars, coach of the Borussia Donphan. Please go check him out, his link will be down below. Lars is a really good friend of mine and a really good battler in the Draft League format. This is now his second season in the GBA, and unfortunately, his season's kinda similar to mine. We're in the same conference, he's in the other division, so first time we play each other, but up until this point, I think I'm 3-6 now, he is 4-5, and we are not doing as well as last season. I think last season we were both at the top of our I think we might have been in the same conference. We were both at the top of our divisions, doing really well. Now we're fighting for the same wild card spot, and last week's loss for me actually hurt him as well because he's trying to get that spot from Mono. There might be someone in his division who's close enough for him to grab that too, but that was the one he wanted. It would be a little bit closer there. Now it's a little bit more out of reach, and if he loses this one, he still has a chance, but he pretty much loses his playoff hopes. And if I lose this one, I think I'm mathematically eliminated. So, even though it's late in the season and we're not having the seasons we would have liked, we are still fighting for something, and that's really nice. When you stop fighting for something in the season, that's when it gets a little bit harder to do everything you can. It's nice to have one more shot, whether or not it's a stretch, and we'll see. But going against Lars, this is going to be very scary. He's a fantastic coach, and he has a really good team, which is very scary with things like Landorus I, Mega Alakazam, Scizor, and Crawdon. That was actually something I was very worried about, but the two things of Lando and Alakazam are the ones that really worry me. Mega Alakazam is one of the few Pokemon that naturally can outspeed Mega Lopunny. Landorus I is Landorus I, and that's always going to be freaky. So, to counter both of those, I have Max Specially Defensive Assault Vest Reuniclus, actually Modest Nature just to give it a little bit more of a punch with Psychic, Shadow Ball, Signal Beam, and HP Ice. Unfortunately, I can't have coverage for the Scizor. I would have loved to, but I need the HP Ice for the Landorus. Obviously, this is my complete counter to that thing. If he is physical with like knockoff, that just sucks for me, but I'm pretty confident he's going to be special. It's going to do a ton of damage to my team, and I'm hoping this thing can really help me out. I mean, the Signal Beam doesn't really end up doing a ton since he didn't bring Crawdon. Very necessary coverage, and Psychic, Shadow Ball should just be able to do a ton to his team in general. And as long as he doesn't have like Choice Banded Pursuit Scizor, I should be able to switch in and out freely, take some hits, get out, and get my Regenerator. And I'm really excited to be using this Reuniclus. A lot of the time this season I've tried to bring this set, which worked really well last season. It just hasn't done what I wanted it to. Very confident it's going to be able to put a little bit more work in, especially since it's going to be stopping two things I know for sure he's bringing. And seeing the team preview, I'm very excited about that. Next mon is the Mega Lopunny. We do have Quick Attack on this week, which is huge because we need that to hit the Mega Alakazam. Maybe it'll be able to get some chip damage or just pick off the Lando if I can get it low. If the Hitmonlee that he brought is unburdened and he doesn't have Mach Punch, which he definitely is going to have Mach Punch for Mega Lopunny, but if he's just trying to sweep with Fake Out and then be faster and everything, that could be really nice. Going to be great in general. We don't actually have Fighting Sab this week. I'm pretty sure, I might have put High Jump Kick on at the end, but it's a move I don't think I'm going to need to click. If he brings in the Mega Scizor, no, I didn't bring High Jump Kick, that's what it is. I have Fire Punch. I was thinking, I had High Jump Kick, I didn't want to use it. The only thing I'd hit it with is Scizor, so I did bring Fire Punch instead for that, which I'm happy I decided on that. Cranicle is back this week. Freeze Dry, Never Melt Ice, Rapid Spin Recover, and the HP Fire. If I can predict the Scizor switch, that would be very nice. We outspeed the Lando, Ice Beam, or just the Freeze Dry, that is, because he does have Vaporeon. Will Ocomb, which is great, and nothing else on his team wants to switch into the combination of Never Melt Ice, Freeze Dry, and the HP Fire. Defensive Rocky Helmet Landorus, U-Turn, Earthquake, Stealth Rocks, and the knockoff. This guy, you can just get rocks up. It's going to be my direct counter to the Scizor. Obviously, he can wear it down, but the point would just be to get some Rocky Helmet damage on this thing, so it's easier to pick off. Or with my Rotom, which obviously will be able to resist the Bullet Punch, I can Will-Wisp this thing. Hopefully with these two, I can get some slow Volt Switch and go into my Speedier Mons to take on his, like the Mega Lopunny, the Cranicle, or the Latios, which is Scarfed again this week. Fire off a big hit. My Latios is Scarfed, so it can outspeed the Mega Alakazam, and actually Crawdon after +2 Dragon Dances at the worst case scenario. That was the speed I decided to hit with that thing, and it's going to be modest max attack, which is great, so I will be able to get pretty big and powerful Draco hits going as long as I can get Aromatisse out of there. But I'm going to lead off with Reuniclus because I am so worried about the Mega Alakazam and the Landorus. I don't want to deal with those whatsoever, so that's just what's going to happen. I don't really care what he leads with. I just have to make sure he doesn't get a kill right away or just put a lot of pressure on my team with either of those in the beginning, especially if it was Mega Alakazam, because if I pick the wrong lead like Landorus, I'm not staying in, I have to switch in, and nothing really wants to switch in the Alakazam. Gives him a lot of momentum. This way, I can just go straight for a Shadow Ball. I don't care what he does. It's not going to do too much damage to my Reuniclus. This is my absolute counter, and that's what you do with a counter. You leave it in on the big guys like this, but he's actually going to go for Protect. Obviously, he predicted me to lead off with the Mega Lopunny, or when he was planning, Protect, so I can't hit him with the Fake Out, which is obviously a very smart play on his part. Regardless, I'm going to go for the Psychic, predicting him to switch out into the Aromatisse. I am correct here, which is very nice, and I do get a pretty big hit off on this thing. Really happy I decided to put Modest on this thing. Just a little bit more of a punch, which is going to be great, and I don't see Lefty, so I'm very confident that that thing's going to have Rocky Helmet for a Mega Lopunny. Just going for another Psychic. He brings in the Scizor, and I'm a little bit worried here, because if he has Pursuit, I might have screwed up royally. He doesn't end up doing that. I got some nice chip damage on this thing. And going into Landorus is going to bring him down even lower. So if he doesn't have Roost, I'm feeling really good about the start of this game. I hurt the Aromatisse that doesn't have leftovers. I hurt this Scizor that also doesn't seem to have leftovers. His team's a little bit more worn down with the things that don't just have instant recovery, or at least fast instant recovery, which is really nice. And I'm in a pretty good spot here. But on the U-turn, he is going to bring in his Mesprit, and I don't know what this thing is. If it has more speed than me and just goes for Ice Beam, I lose my Landorus right away. I can't mess around with that. I would love to go for the U-turn, the knockoff, Stealth Rocks, any of those plays, but I just can't make that prediction right now. And he makes a really good play going for Stealth Rocks, knowing that I'll probably switch out. He can hit me with an Ice Beam later, and he can just lull me into false insecurity by doing that, by not revealing Ice Beam, but I'm not going to play into that game at all. Reuniclus is now in, just going to go for a Shadow Ball. I have no reason to make any big predictions there. If he stays in, he stays in. If he just goes for knockoff or something, at least I can get some big damage off. But here I make a big over prediction. I think that he's going to, I don't know, switch out, pull a double. Maybe he's just going to go for the Wish, and that way I wouldn't be able to kill him with the Reuniclus, which would suck. But instead he does just go for the Moonblast, get some damage off on my Reuniclus. Gets a lot of really big damage off on the Lando, which sucks as it's my counter for Scizor, and now it's not really much of a counter. It's a little too weak, but I make up for the over prediction with just a regular prediction. He's going to stay in, he's sacking this thing off. Let's get rid of him on. That's probably the counter for Mega Lopunny, or at least what he's using for that. And now that it's gone, that's amazing. I can also drop Dracos everywhere, which is really, really nice. But here against Mega Alakazam, it's a little bit scary, and we do have to switch in the Reuniclus, which thankfully to Regenerator, we do have full health. And no matter what he wants to do, we should be fine. He does just go for the Psychic, so that's going to do absolutely nothing to us, which is great. And this turn we can go for the Shadow Ball. He isn't traced our Regenerator, he had the Intimidate, so he's not going to be able to get his health back for free, which is something I need to worry about this match, just to ensure that he does not take advantage of my Regenerator, because I want to get big hits off like that, and make sure he can't really last. But I don't want Blobby to get too low, I still need it for the Landorus, so I'm going to go into my Cranigal, which is a little bit less useful than the rest of my team, I guess. I know I can live a hit, and maybe the Signal Beam won't do enough that I can fire off a hit, but with the Signal Beam, it looks like if he just goes for a Psychic, he will be able to kill me, so I'm going to switch out, but I wish I had predicted him to switch and just gone for the HP Fire. If I had done that, I could have gotten rid of the Scizor right away. That would have been amazing, and it really would have made up for my misprediction with the Landorus, which brought it down really low, and made it so I don't have that many things to deal with the Scizor, which is very scary. So I really mess up with those predictions, and I have to get out of there with the Reuniclus. At least I get my health up. The whole point was to switch around and get health for Reuniclus on a predicted Psychic, but it doesn't work that way. I still do get the health, but I'm going to have to lose my Landorus because of the misprediction, or at least so I think. He's going to go for the Roost here, which is even worse. If I had predicted gone for the HP Fire and gotten rid of this thing, it'd be gone and I'd be so happy. Instead of losing the Landorus, he would be without a Scizor, and I'd feel a lot more comfortable in this game. Instead, Lando is now gone. There's no way for me to get rocks up, and his Scizor is pretty much at full. But I can go into Rotom. I know I can just go for a Will-O-Wisp. I'm going to outspeed him, and there's nothing on his team that really wants to take a Will-O-Wisp, but he can go into things like Mesprit or Alakazam, and it's not going to be a huge deal, but it's still going to whittle him down, and that will be very nice, especially when I have the Scarf Latios and the Mega Lopunny with Quick Attack. If things can get whittled down, I should be able to outspeed most of his Pokemon and at least hit them with the priority or just with the Scarf Mons and do a bunch of damage. So this little chip damage will be useful. But now I have to switch out. I still think he has the Ice Beam on this thing. It makes so much sense for this match for him to have it. I'm going to go into Reuniclus, expecting to see the special move from this thing. He does go for the Ice Beam, so I'm really happy that I did not get lulled in that false insecurity that he didn't have this thing. Obviously, I'm going to be able to take that pretty easily, and here I'm just going to go for a Shadow Ball. It's going to do a bunch of damage to this thing, and I don't think it'll take it out, but with the burn, it should bring it down really low to a good point. And while he's doing some decent damage with the Ice Beam, I know from the damage here I can just switch out, go into Chronicle, kind of sack it off, but he will lose the Mesprit. So my Reuniclus will still be at a really good amount of health, which is huge for the Alakazam and the Lando, which he still has around. Very scary. And the Chronicle really isn't going to do that much at this point. It has one switch in left anyways. He actually makes a really good play and goes for the Fire Punch, knowing that he might not kill with an Ice Beam on the Chronicle. So that was actually a really good prediction on his part. I didn't see him going for that at all. I just assumed he'd go for Ice Beam again. It works out great. Double down here, and on the double down, I'm going to go into my Mega Lopunny to get my Mega up. Just go for a Fake Out. It doesn't matter what he brings in. I mean, I still kill the Mega Alakazam with a Quick Attack from the range he's at. So if he really wants to play that game and find out what I have, you know, Fake Out and Quick Attack, I will be very, very fine with that, and very happy. That could be huge in this game if he just doesn't see the Quick Attack coming for whatever reason. So, going over the Fake Out. No reason to let him know I have Quick Attack at this point. I know he's just going to go for the Protect, and it really doesn't matter what he goes into at this point. Nothing wants to switch into this Mega Lopunny, and I can't make any over predictions. If he stays in and I don't go for Quick Attack, I might just lose my Mega Lopunny, and I probably lose the game at that point, which is terrible. And even if he brings in the Scizor, I still have the Fire Punch, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to kill at that range. Doesn't matter what EV spread he's going to be, but he does actually have the Aqua Berry, and I really wasn't expecting that at this point. I don't know why it didn't really cross my mind. I almost kill him too. He was so close to being at a range where that does kill. He does go for the U-turn. He doesn't go for Superpower or anything like that would kill. So, Crisis kind of averted, but he was so close to that being done. I mean, just a little bit more damage. That's a dead Scizor. That thing has been on the brink of death for so long in this match, and now he's able to bring in the Landorus. I was terrified he'd go for Rock Polish here and just beat me, but again, I have the designated counter to this thing in Reuniclus. I have to switch it in every time for the Landorus and the Mega Alakazam. There's a reason I have max specially defensive Assault Vest Reuniclus. No reason to mess around with that at all, and he actually goes for U-turn here. And that's where I start thinking he's definitely not Rock Polish. He might be more of a Scarf set, as it's not, it didn't do that much damage when I did a Calc, so I don't think he's physical. It seems like he's more maybe Scarfed with U-turn and then 3 special attacking moves, which is still scary, but it's not as scary as if he had just gone for a Rock Polish there. But I'm going to switch into the Rotom here. He goes for a great play and just goes for the U-turn. So unfortunately, I do lose the Rotom, but Rotom didn't have too much value at this point in the game anyway, so it's not the worst thing in the world. And I will just be able to go into my Latios here. I know he's not going to be able to kill me. The only physical move I think he's going to have is U-turn, and I don't think any of his special moves could even really do that much. So if he does outspeed me and he's Scarfed like I thought, I should still be able to go for a Draco and get a kill no matter what he switches in. The only thing that might not die is the Hitmonlee. It's like a 50-50 with the Calc I did, if he's just, you know, max attack, max speed. So, regardless, I should be able to two-shot this thing. I go for the Draco, and I'm actually going to get a crit here, which is a little bit unfortunate. The Calc might have been a little bit more in his favor depending on the EVs he had for special defense, so that is a little sad, but I don't know if it matters because I just go for another Draco. Unless I miss, something's still dead or this guy is hurt a lot more than he wants it to be. Either way, he's able to go into this guy now, go for a U-turn, and take out my Latios, but Latios did what it needed to do. The only thing that I need to get damage on at this point to win the game is the Landorus. If I can get more damage on the Landorus, I should be able to clean up with Quick Attack, but it's very much easier said than done. It is such a scary Pokemon that is so powerful, and with the U-turn team he has right now, like half the things on his team have U-turn. He's getting all the initiative, he's getting the right matchups, and that is terrifying. But here I have a great opportunity. Just going to go for the Fake Out. It doesn't really matter if he protects or not. Make sure I get the kill. I get a needless crit. Obviously that didn't matter at all. And now he's going to bring in Lando, and I really wanted to just stay in and go for a return, predicting him to U-turn, but I can't make that play. If I'm wrong, I just completely lose the match. I go into Blobby, and I just have to hope that I live this Earth Power, or at least, like, it's not going to two-shot me, that is. He does the damage, and I live, and it shows that he did 58, so I should be able to live on 1 depending on min-max. I actually live on 5. I have no idea what his spread was. I would have lived with 1 with the first roll, the second one I lived with 5, and I do enough damage to the Lando that I should be able to clean up the rest of his team with Quick Attack, and this should be good game, unless the Quick Attack somehow doesn't kill the Scissor where he's like max defensive or something. I missed the Quick Attack, he's got Bright Powder on the Lando, I was actually wrong, or something crazy happens. This should be another win for us. They've been hard to come by this season, and getting a win against someone of the caliber of Lars, it's huge, you know, getting a win like this. It's great for morale, it's great for confidence, and it's just great for the season. You know, Lars, I have a ton of respect for him as a battler, and this is one of the most intense battles I've had in the GBA in general. This was such a fun one, and it was really nice. It was rewarding to get a win when my sets like the Reuniclus worked out so well. It's kind of risky when you bring a Reuniclus like that that's so dedicated to just 2 Pokemon on one team, and trying to make it work and figure out how that's going to work. And I didn't have switch-ins for a few of his Mons, and man, that was really, really intense. And we still have life. Depending on if Mono or whoever's in second in Lars' division, if they lose, that will give us a better chance to make the playoffs. Obviously, last week was very unfortunate, but by beating Lars is one of the people we're fighting to get a wildcard spot, so that just helps us out a little bit more. Obviously, every win's going to help us, and I think if we win out, we have a chance to make the playoffs. Next week, we do go against George in the San Francisco Arcaniner, so that is going to be so far from easy, but if we can beat him and we make the playoff spot, I feel like that could be a pretty deserved. You know, last week was a really good showing. We didn't win, but it was close. This week, another really good showing. We won in the close match. And next week, if we can beat one of the best battlers in the league and potentially make the playoffs, I'm feeling really confident in this team. Regardless, I feel like we've been ending on a high note ever since we traded for Milk Tank. You know, the team stock kind of went a little bit, compared to where we were in the beginning of the season, it's gone through the roof. And if nothing else, I'm happy with my play at this point, you know. There's not much to be ashamed for. I'm leaving everything on, I guess, the battlefield, and I don't know, the last few games have been really fun. This one was amazing, and again, please go check out Lars and go see his side of the battle. This was a really, really good game. He brought some really good sets, and there was just a few predictions that if they had gone the other way for one of us, or even the little bit of rolls, at the end, I don't know the exact rolls with the Earth Power on the Reuniclus. There was no way for me to even calc that. I saw that I lived with 1. My only play was to stay in. The point, I had done a lot of calcs before with this set to make sure that this is something I can switch in on that Lando. And the fact that he was Scarf taking away the Life Orb damage, I think that really helped. So, thankfully, putting HP Ice instead of HP Fire on the Reuniclus worked out in a big way. One more battle against George, and we do still have a battle after that if we can win that, but we gotta just look at the next one. George doesn't have Melodic. Sadly, the person we play at the end of the season does have Melodic, but Melodic is gone. That was the big reason we lost last week, so maybe that's going to be the thing to get us over a hump. We don't have to go against the #1 enemy of the Pelippers. Regardless, that's going to be it. I've rambled too long, so I will see you guys next week, and until then, peace.